So when rodeo rides off into the sunset, don't get bored. Wind down by sinking yourself into a good book. Joining us with some new book recommendations is McKenna Jordan with Murder by the Book.
Hey, how are you?
Good morning. I am doing well. Okay, I love that you have your old green on the whole bit. All right, McKenna, you were an avid reader growing up, and I think more of us as kids, if we weren't into the video games and stuff, which weren't as advanced as they are today, reading was a joy for us.
Absolutely, yeah. I grew up reading anything I could get my hands on. Especially loved R.L. Stein's Goosebump books. And then
so you were starting a little horror thing a little early.
Absolutely. I had a little under the bed bin full of them and loved reading those books, loved going to the bookshop with my dad. And then when I got a little older, it turned into reading Agatha Christie and mysteries. Both my parents were police officers in Houston, and so I think that they had real life crime and I had fictional crime, you know, as I read.
Yeah, but you touched on something that was so important too, because we talk constantly about how important it is, especially in the early years, for parents to read to their children and then take them to the library or take them where they can shop for books and things like that, right? And so that happened with you. That was like a bonding relationship, I would imagine, with your dad.
Absolutely, yes. My mom loved to read, but she was like most moms, you know, busy with housework, you know, and a full-time job and running the household. And so on the weekends, my dad and I would go either to Barnes & Noble or Half Price Books, and we would have our little outing, and he would get his nonfiction and I would get an R.L. Stein book.
Yeah. All right, so you loved the horror thing kind of genre growing up, and then you went off to college, and then you studied Shakespeare and literary classics, and I was like, oh, she got away from the horror, but then again, in every Shakespeare play, I remember somebody's getting killed.
I mean, Macbeth, it doesn't get gorier than that, right?
Right. All right, Murder by the Book. This is one of those things that we were sharing in the green room, how you can have the most well-laid plans, and then all of a sudden, what's supposed to happen happens anyway. Sure. And so you were in grad school looking for a job to kind of, you know, make ends meet, and Murder by the Book was one of the places you went.
Sure, I shopped there on the weekends, just picked up a used book here or there, and I love to read. And every time I went in, I kept saying, do you have availability? But it's one of those places that employees never leave. Still is one of those places. And they finally had a 4-hour spot available on the weekends. I started working, and by that summer, that was in January of 2003, and by that summer I was full-time. And so, you know, life takes a turn.
Yeah, it's a unique bookstore.
Yes, it's all crime fiction. So we have horror books, we have true crime, but basically if there's a mystery, a crime, a murder, then that's something that we're going to try to stock. Yeah,
you have over 25,000 books, new and used. You love recommending great books. You host over 200 book signings with best-selling authors. You have appearances that you've had those authors on our show.
Yes.
So we work well together on that. James Patterson, Anne Rice, Lee Child, Harlan Coben, and they keep coming. And the value of a brick and mortar is that you can go in and ask questions.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. The number one thing we pride ourselves on is our customer service. We love to have regular customers who come in, and the second they walk through that door, we say, we have got a book for you. And we know that they're going to leave with that book, love that book, and come back for more.
Yeah, and you know what we like, right?
We try to.
This Friday, author Benjamin Stevenson's coming.
Yes, now he is very comic in his books, so they have these classic elements. So his first book was Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. His next,
don't date that guy. Yeah.
Exactly. His the book he's coming for is Everyone in This Bank is a Suspect. But we're very excited because this is the first time that he's coming to the U.S. on tour, and we know he's a USA Today bestselling author, and he has a lot of fans, and we're really excited that he's finally coming to Houston for this book.
And then March 27th, you have your Spring Happy Hour.
Yeah, so quarterly, every season or so, we love to talk about the books that we are reading and loving. So as you mentioned, we have a really busy event schedule, and a lot of times people hear about those books because we're always promoting certain authors coming to town, but those aren't the only books we read. We read and love all sorts of things, and so on that March 27th, we'll have kind of just a fun shopping evening. We'll have refreshments, and then I will have 8 staff members talking about their favorite spring reads. So it's really fun. If you don't know what you want to read, you can come and hear a huge range of reading tastes talk about their favorite books.
Yeah, and speaking of more authors, April 23rd, author Sally Hepworth, her new book is Mad Mabel, and so she's in conversation with Houston's Catherine Center, who has been on this show several times
We
as
love
well.
Catherine,
We love her. Yeah.
and she does a great job moderating. Sally is another one coming from overseas. She's Australian, and she's here to talk about Mad Mabel, which is about an 80-year-old woman who has a secret in her past.
Oh, okay. All right. Secret to be unveiled soon. All right. Amazing books to get now. Dead First by Johnny Compton.
Sure. So I'm going to try to do this by memory, although I have some little notes, cheat sheets on the back. So Johnny Compton is actually a Texas author. This is one of his first books, but he is one of the best new horror voices out there. And so in this book, Shyla Sinclair is a private investigator who's been hired by a billionaire, and he wants her to figure out why he can't die. So it's a supernatural mystery. But what Johnny's done so well with this is that he's written it like a classic noir detective story that just has some gothic horror elements. And he was just at the store. He comes for all of his books. We love him, super nice guy. And so we do have signed copies of this available.
Yeah. I love when the horror writer is a super nice guy. That's good.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
All right. Dollface by Lindy Ryan.
Well, this one I had to bring on because, people say you can't judge a book by its cover, but does it get better?
I love that cover.
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. So this one also, I didn't just bring horror books, but this does have a little horror element to it. It's basically Barbie meets Scream with a 1990s twist. There's a horror author who's moved to a New Jersey suburb, and she joins the PTA, and she's trying to live her regular life, and a serial killer starts targeting the PTA moms. And it's either she figures out who's doing this, or she might be next.
Okay, well, let me just say, don't mess with PTA moms. Okay. The Murder at World's End by Ross Montgomery.
So for a completely different thing, we have so many fans of classic mystery tropes. So your locked room mystery where there's an impossible crime and, all the doors and windows were sealed and yet someone's been murdered and left in that room. And that's what this book is. It's set in 1910 in Cornwall, and it has an impossible murder set during Halley's Comet, and Aunt Decima, who is the very potty-mouthed old lady in the house, ends up investigating along with an underclass servant, and it's absolutely wonderful, and it's perfect for classic mystery fans.
All right, up next, How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay, we're going through these quick. This one is a British police procedural, and there's a modern day crime that happens. At the same time, there is a book that has taken over in London, and it's called How to Get Away with Murder. And it's officially told by a serial killer about how to get away with murder. And these are alternating chapters from that book, and then a police officer trying to investigate this current crime, but she's also trying to figure out if it might be tied in with the book and if the author is in fact a serial killer. And it's very witty and very well done.
Okay, and then The Primrose Murder Society by Stacey Hackney.
And this is just a brand new paperback. A down on their luck mother and daughter team start investigating a 20-year-old murder along with all these residents in an apartment complex. So it's very only murders in the building, but set in the South.
Okay, and when we get all these books, the nice thing about it is that we can also get a nice cup of coffee, because that's something else that came into your...
We can. So we're also, I think, going to have a giveaway for your viewers, but my husband and I also own House of Coffee Beans, which is next door, and we have a couple coffees at the bookstore too. So Murder on the Orient Espresso is our dark roast blend, but we have obviously lots of lovely fresh roasted coffees.
And this is quality coffee.
It is quality coffee, yes, yeah, absolutely. So we have this and we have Brew Done It, but they're just kind of catchy titled excellent coffee from freshly roasted 3 times a week at House of Coffee Beans.
Yeah. All right, what do you say to someone who says, I just don't read, I just don't have time to read? Because I catch myself sometimes going, I loved it, but I don't have time. But once I sit down, the world goes away and I make time.
I say 2 things. One, audiobooks count. So if you're in the car, you're in traffic, and you want a diversion, absolutely, go to Libro FM. That's how you can get audiobooks for independent bookstores. And then also, if you're only trying to read right before bed, you're going to fall asleep. So set aside some time to actually have some dedicated reading time, and set a goal of a chapter a day, and you'll be reading more than that soon.
Yeah. Okay. There are audiobooks, but am I wrong to the books that match my decor always sit out?
Oh, yes.
It's part of decor
Absolutely.
as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, for more information on Murder by the Book, their upcoming events, and any of the books recommended today, you can visit greatdayhouston.com.